What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby update here for RacyDudes.com. A little bit later in the week, but that's all right. Waiting for the fields to come out for this big three prep weekend. So wanted to get all those fields out before we did the show. So a little bit later in the week, but we are here nonetheless. All right, let's get to it. You know how we go. We'll recap last week. We'll do the current top five after what happened last week, and then we'll look ahead to the three races coming up. I'll put the Southwest up on the screen first. We'll recap that one first for you guys and kind of take a look at what happened. And of course, Patch Adams was the 4-5 favorite in here. He was the heavily hyped horse right here on this channel, has been heavily hyped for a couple of weeks. But he does nothing really in this race. I shouldn't say nothing. He gets fourth as the 4-5 favorite in here. Not the desired trip, I don't think, for Patch Adams. He was kind of second to third to last through a lot of that, and that's not really where he likes to sit. So maybe live to fight another day for Patch Adams. Now, Speed King, the winner of the race, very impressive, and something to make note of here, right? Because Speed King, obviously second in the Remington Park Springboard Mile last time out before running here in the Southwest, and the winner of that race was Coal Battle, who then went on to win the Smarty Jones. And then now Speed King to win the Southwest. So the Springboard Mile from Remington Park has producing two more prep wins out of that race. So very interesting to see. And look, Speed King just took it to him. He was the Speed King, aptly named in this situation. He broke from the 10 hole, sent to the lead, never looked back. So pretty darn impressive there from Speed King. Speaking of impressive, if you haven't watched this race, you need to go watch it just to see what the number 6 Sandman had to kind of encounter. He broke, the comments say he broke in a tangle. That's putting it lightly. He was twisted and turned and everything else. He ends up being dead last. He does come from out of it. In some of his other races, I should say, he came from out of it, but not like this, not so far behind. But he does end up coming up here and getting second. And you kind of scroll down here, you could see he was 8-9 links off this thing at one time and well last and was able to rally for second. So Speed King was really, really good in this one. Or excuse me, Sandman was really, really good in this one as well as Speed King. I think the top two horses, just excellent job here in the Southwest. Now, Tistastic was third, and he is kind of that horse at this point. He's another one that dropped way back and then made one run. Kind of reminds me of Red Route 1 a little bit for Steve Asmussen back just a few years ago. Kind of going to rally from last. He's going to hit the board, and he might make the Kentucky Derby because of it. But will he actually be a big-time player in that race? Probably not. He's going to need to show a little bit more, but a nice third-place effort as he kind of nosed out Patch Adams. The only other one to really talk about here is gaming. Let's talk about gaming for a little bit because it was interesting that he was here in this race after running third in the Los Alamitos Futurity. He was bet down to 2-1, and he is another one that had a really rough trip. And I think some people will say, "Hey, he had a rough trip." Anytime they have trips like that, you might just toss it out. The deal is with Sandman, he had a rough trip, and it was all just crazy things that happen, like breaking and up tied in knots, basically, and getting bumped and getting way behind. Where gaming just kind of didn't seem like he wanted to do a lot of running in this race. He finished second to last, and he kind of got himself in his own trouble. He was pretty rank. He didn't really kind of want to go up towards the front. He had to check a lot, but he had to check because he just didn't have any early speed. So I thought it was a really bad sign for a Baffert horse. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with gaming, but he certainly just doesn't look to be the same horse that he once was. But like I said, to kind of recap it here, I thought Speed King was super impressive here. He earned my respect. And to be honest, from a gambling standpoint, I had him pretty hard in the Springboard Mile, and I wasn't mad that day at him. I thought he ran okay, but I thought, man, you probably should have been able to hold off Coal Battle. Then Coal Battle comes back to win, and you're like, okay, Speed King, maybe he ran a little bit better than I thought. And then, I had him in fourth in this race. I wasn't sure his talent level, if it was good enough, and boy, it was. So give Speed King a lot of credit, and give Sandman a ton of credit as well, trying to come from way out of it and be able to get the job done there. So good job from those two horses for sure. All right, let's go down to the top 5 for this week. And I'm going to go with a new number 5. Obviously, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go with Patch Adams since he was 4th in the Southwest. I put Barnes at 5. I should note Speed King I have at 6, and Sandman I have at 7. So they're just right there. But right now, these rankings 1 through 10, you can kind of just flip flop them however you want to. It's not, as anybody knows, we're January 29th as I record this. It's not that big of a deal if a horse is number 1 versus number 10 on your list. So anyway, that being said, Barnes number 5, I project he's going to run pretty well when he stretches out to 2 turns. Number 4, Journalism. He's missed a couple of works, but he is back, and it looks like he is on track. He will not run in the Robert B. Lewis. We'll talk about that here in just a second, but he will run in the San Felipe, and I think Journalism will be fine. Don't panic just yet. Number 3 is Sovereignty. He's another one. He's kind of late onto the game, but that's kind of how it is these days. 2 preps to the Derby is kind of how they do it. So that March prep is still very much in play for Sovereignty. I'll keep him at number 3. A horse that is not going to run in March, but instead it run in February as long as things keep going well. That's my number 2 horse, East Avenue. Get ready for East Avenue. He's working extremely well down at Fairgrounds. He's going to run in the Risen Star again as long as everything goes okay. East Avenue looks really, really good right now. He's a horse I documented a lot, whether it was the Breeders' Futurity and leading up to that or the Breeders' Cup itself. This horse is pretty damn flawless in everything he does until that Breeders' Cup race. And that obviously was the farthest thing from flawless, just a disaster. But when you kind of analyze this horse and how he works, it's pretty flawless. And then you look at the races other than the Breeders' Cup, pretty flawless as well. So I'm pretty excited for him. He's at number 2. And number 1 is Citizen Bull. And, I think I wouldn't say I've taken heat, but I think people have kind of gone the direction of forget about Citizen Bull, forget about the Breeders' Cup, the 2-year-old form. We're looking for the next best thing. And I've just kept on this same kind of line of like, show me the next best thing. I'm ready to put somebody else number 1. And each week I'm just like, I think Citizen Bull should still be there. So he's there this week, but that'll be a lead into the final thing we'll talk about today. And this is where it's going to get interesting. Citizen Bull will no longer just be the placeholder at number 1. He's going to have to race, and he's going to have to try to come in here and win a race. Let's talk about it, though. The 3 prep races will save the San Felipe, the Robert B. Lewis for last. So 3 preps coming up on the screen now is the Withers. It's a field of 7, and you got you've got Captain Cook, the number 6 horse. I project he's probably going to be the favorite. I'm not sure because for whatever reason, it's Wednesday. We still don't have odds for this race. So I don't know who the actual favorite will be. I guess it's going to be Captain Cook after that nice win, but it could be Mo Quality as well. Could, one of those two, I would imagine. So the Withers, it's a field of 7. Every year it draws, you're not overly excited, but I would say pause and go back and look at some of those Withers winners. Maybe not Kentucky Derby type horses, or well, they're in the Derby, but maybe they don't win the Derby, but you just think of the Preakness and how horses have ran out of there, or even the Belmont. So the Withers makes sense, to on paper, you're like, yeah, maybe we're not that excited, but just keep an eye on some of these. Early Voting is a horse that always comes to mind who won the Preakness. He ran in the Withers. Hit Show, another horse that was in the Withers, ended up being decent enough. All right, let's go to the other one here at Gulfstream Park. We're going to have the Holy Bull. It's another field of 7, a short field here. And I would kind of label these as 6 of them at least, of like, okay, this is a big proving ground. You look at Kinetic Control and Tappan Street, those, a Burning Glory. Those are horses that they kind of have the look of maybe being a Derby horse, but are they really? I think we're going to find out at least a little bit about them. And then you got the establishment of Ferocious, who, was all the rage at Saratoga when he broke the maiden, but we haven't seen a win since. So that'll be interesting to see him back. And then Guns Loaded, who won the Mucho Macho Man. He's coming right here to run here in the Holy Bull, try to make it 2 in a row down at Gulfstream in the prep series. And then finally, like I said, the number 1 horse on my rankings will be running this weekend. Finally, we're going to see Citizen Bull in the Robert B. Lewis here at Santa Anita. No surprise, field of 5 at Santa Anita. That's kind of, unfortunately, that's what we kind of expect. Of the 5, 3 are Bob Baffert. Yeah, that's kind of what we expect. That is the sad reality of what it is. Now, here's the good news. Citizen Bull, we're going to find out what he is, because Matticat Road's not bad and Rodriguez certainly isn't bad. So it's going to be a stiff test. We're also going to know what Rodriguez and Matticat Road might be as well out of this race. So I think this is, even though it's intriguing and it's less than intriguing is what I meant to say, because it's only 5 runners and 3 of them are Bob Baffert's. Well, it's going to be nice to kind of see where these horses stack up. So it will be very interesting to see this play out. So big prep weekend coming up, 3 of them. Going to be exciting to see it happen. Now, if you want full coverage and full picks for all these prep races, I've got great news for you. We're going to have separate videos for all 3 of these races. They'll be out pretty much as soon as you see this video, you'll see the other ones as well. We're going to post them all at once. So I'll be up. So we'll have full previews. I'll run down every horse and give my win pick for the Robert B. Lewis, of course, and the Withers, and, of course, the Holy Bull. So a big-time weekend coming up. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode. We'll see what happens. I bet we'll have a change in the top 5. You just got to think it's going to happen with a 3 prep weekend here on February 1st. That's right, February, March, April. We're getting into it, guys. It is starting to be big time points. We're only a couple weeks away from the Risen Star for 50 points. This is when it gets good. Coverage every week right here, racenews.com. Make sure to check it out. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do previews like this. And most importantly, come back next week for another Kentucky Derby update.